Hey everyone, Mark Inesito here for Music, Facts, and Figures by Mark Inesito. Today's podcast is not about music. It's going to be kind of like a look ahead at 2023 at my podcast. Nothing too crazy. Helping guys had a hobby. Can't even talk now. Hope you guys had a happy holidays. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. You guys stay safe and had a good time with your friends and family, and countdown in the new year, 2023. Here we are. I can't believe it. Before I know it, it'll be 2024. Just thinking about it kind of makes me think, oh wow, it's gonna be here before you know it. But anyway, so I got an email from the app I use my podcast to record on, Anchor, and they basically told me my stats for the year. I was really impressed what I saw. I'm finding out that more people listen to my podcast than I know of, because when I look at my numbers on the app, it only shows, like, I think my Facebook numbers, like, because I always share this on Facebook, my podcast, and I think it shows that only that listens through Anchor, not on the actual apps my podcast is on. So that really surprised me, and I'm really thankful for all my listeners out there. I appreciate you guys by far. Um, so I found out I was like the top 5 listener for 4 fans. I was the top three list. I was the top 3 listeners for was it three. God, I can't remember now what I saw. I just looked at it too just to make sure, but I wish I had it in front of me here. I think it was the top 3 listeners for 3 fans, and the number 1 listener for 3 fans. So that's amazing. And to all y'all out there listening to my podcast around the world, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I appreciate you guys by far. And all the apps that carry me, iHeartRadio, Spotify, uh, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, even my YouTube subscribers out there. Um, my podcast on YouTube is the same name as the audio, the Music, Facts, and Figures by Mark Inesito. Thank you to all you guys. Thank you out there. And there's other apps out there that use my podcast. Because I always name the main ones out. The main ones, which are iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. They're like the main apps that use my podcast, and it's the ones that are more, to me, more noticeable, which is why I always announce them in my podcast. But of course, to all you guys out there that also carry my podcast, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Again, thank you to my listeners. I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm who I am. So I appreciate you guys by far, and I appreciate comments too. Like I said, I got my email address. Got my email problem fixed, so that's fixed up. I think I mentioned last time I had an email issue, but it got fixed, so that's all good. My email address is markrocks77 at gmail.com. I'll spell it out for you. It's MARKROCKS77 at gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook. My name's on my podcast, Mark Inesito. Look me up. I appreciate comments. I haven't got a comment yet or anything. I haven't noticed one yet. So, I'm not that good at checking my email like I should, but I do. If we're on the subject, saying that your podcast episode or whatever or something like that, that way I know. Okay, this is about my podcast. I'll read it and I respond to you too, by far. I do appreciate comments and concerns. It would help me to do better at what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But yeah. But again, thank you. Also, I found out on this email, excuse me, I got the top 3 countries. I think it was the top 5. I forgot the 5 and 4, but the top 3 countries that listen to my podcast are number 3, Australia, 2, the UK, and of course, number 1, America. And I thank you all again. Thank you all around the world, whoever listens to my podcast. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Again, I've said that 1,000 times already in this podcast, but I appreciate you. Really, I do. Anyway, I look ahead of this year. I'm still doing my music series I'm working on. I'm doing part 4 of the Southern Peppers album, the final part of the project. Hoping to do that next week, let's hope. I start school next week too, so it might be another week before I do that. But it'll get done. My goal this year is to go to California. I mentioned it before. I'm going to do a couple of murder mystery podcasts because I believe both Marilyn Monroe and Natalie Wood were murdered. And I'm not the only one out there that thinks that. I'm going to go on location out there. At Westwood Memorial Cemetery, which is where they're buried at. I went there in 2007. That was a fun trip. But I want to do that again. Not to cause any havoc or nothing like that. That's my goal for this year. I'm just going to keep plugging away. That's all I'm going to be doing. My school, my podcasts, even my writing. I think I mentioned before what I'm doing now. My writing, I'm actually in the middle of writing a play out. I'm in the middle of writing a novel, which I started off as a short story when I was going to Front Range Community College in Westminster, Colorado. And I middle of two children's books. One like a basic children's book, kind of like Where the Wild Things Are, The Snowy Day, things like that. And one like a little novel type deal. And the novel was kind of a new idea that I came up with. I think the book, because I had the book I had the copy of the book. The reason why I got a copy of it I had it for a couple of years actually. It was I can probably even get it if you don't mind, but I don't really want to get up, so I'm just gonna butcher the title probably. I forgot who wrote it. I'm not gonna mention who wrote it, but the book is called the Bridge of whatever it's called. You know what I mean? I'm sure you know what I mean. It came out and it was published in 1977. Excuse me, which is the year I was born, and it was a top children's book of that year. And my wife's uncle, his name is Lester Huseby. I'll give him a shout out. Hey Lester, if you're listening to this, inspired me too, because I'm sure you guys know I have a stuttering problem, and I think the reason I want to do this story about a kid who grew up stuttering and wanted to be heard. That's my goal. That's what I want to write about. Just a little children's book, kind of inspired by the Bridge of. Forgive me, I forgot what it's called. I'm too lazy to get up and find the book. It's right there behind me, on the wall here. The shelf, in fact, the shelf you see back there, the brown, yeah. In fact, I'm going to get it right now. No, I better not. Okay, I got it. So, here you go. Let's pause it and got it. How simple was that? Right there. I think, hold on. Yep, that's it. Bridge to Terabithia. Catherine Patterson. I think my wife's uncle Lester inspired me to write that story about this kid growing up. And this book kind of inspired me to write it like in a novel status type deal, which is what I'm going to be doing. So that's my goals for the year. Another book I purchased recently. I'm going to show it off now. My wife got it for me. Well, so we started this new tradition about 2 years ago. 2020, the year of COVID. I don't remember what country it was. It was like a Norwegian type country, I think, or a Viking country. I can't remember where it was, but they had this tradition that they celebrate on Christmas Eve. Excuse me. What was I gonna say? I had a brain fart. What they do is they exchange books with each other and exchange bonbons. Or like a treat, like chocolate with a candy or whatever you want to do. And that's what we started 2 years ago on Christmas Eve, my wife and I. So my first book I got 2 years ago was a James Patterson book about the murder of John Lennon, which I haven't picked up yet, unfortunately. I'm reading, and I want to do better in my reading this year, too. That's my goal I have for this year. Do better try to read more if I can. Because I'm in the middle of another book, and I want to finish that before I get into another book, you know what I mean? I'm a slow reader. I think it's because of my schooling. I get so busy, but I think if I plan on my my school life out, my writing out, my reading out, podcasts, whatever. I think I can do really good, which is my hope. I can do that, especially too with my podcast this year. Get more podcasts than I did last year. I was on a roll around late spring, early summer, and I kind of fell back again. I think it's because I was out of school and I had time to do this, but I can still do it. Make time for it. My first priority is, of course, school, then the podcast, whatever, writing. Just a couple days a week, work on it, make it my focus, and I think I'll accomplish. So, but anyway, this is last year. I got the book by John Sanford, one of the Pray books, the new one that came out last year. I forgot what it's called. I'm not gonna get up. We have another section of books which is off that way over there. That way. But it was John Sanford's book that came out around maybe fall, winter of last year, 2 years ago. 3 years. So we started this edition 3 years ago. Okay, 2020. We started in 2020. Okay, it's now 20. I'm confused now because it's 2023. So 3 years ago. We can say 2.5 years. Whatever. We can say. I'm being legit here, and I'm saying 3 years ago because it was 2020. So Christmas of 2020 we started it. I got that James Patterson book about John Lennon's murder, and I got the book in 2021, John Sanford, that current Pray book that he's working on the series. Last year, this past Christmas, 2022, I got this book. One of my favorite writers, of course, James Patterson and John Sanford are also my favorite writers. But this is his new book. I like John Grisham. I like his style. I think my favorite book of his by far I read was The Racketeer. I think it was called. That was a good book. That was a really good book. He's a really good writer anyway. Everything he writes is awesome. But I think my favorite one was The Racketeer. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm working on it. Anyway, that's all I have for the books right now. I think that's all I have in general today. I know I'm a little going all over the place right now because there's so many things I want to bring up before I get off here until my next episode. I can share pictures in a kind of like in a PowerPoint, if you will, which would probably be the easiest way for me to do it. So my next podcast will have pictures. So I think I'm going to try to get every podcast I do on YouTube. For the most. I will announce it if I don't put it on there. If I know I can't do this now, I have to do it through audio. I will announce it beforehand. That way you know what to expect. But I can do pictures now, so most of my podcasts will be on YouTube. So that's awesome. And audio, of course, at the same time. But if you want to see the pictures of my story, go to YouTube. My podcast channel. Music, Facts, and Figures by Mark Anacito. Anyway, that's all I have for today. That was a lot for 13 minutes almost. Over 13 minutes. Anyway, I hope you have a good week. Until next time, which is going to be next week or the week after, I'm not sure, but I will get it done. I will be back with a new podcast, a music podcast. So until then, be safe, have a great week, great weekend. God bless and goodbye. Thank you.